Okay, welcome to our worst cars of 2023. You may have seen the best cars of 2023. These videos are coming out sort of a week aside of each other.
And important to mention, these are just the cars that we have reviewed. The
Yes.
second-hand cars we've reviewed this year.
Yeah, not all of the cars in the world, just what we've done. Shall we get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this is the biggest disappointment. What we mean, it's a car that we went into going, they're excited about this is going to be a great car, and came away going, oh.
Yeah.
Mate, what have you got?
I was a little bit, the whole don't meet your heroes thing.
Yeah.
The R34 GTR I was just disappointed in generally, and I think mainly I was swayed by just the ridiculous prices and the hype. And when you look at it, they're great, and they were great when they were made. Comparatively to a lot of stuff now, they're not that fast. But I understand the collectability.
Yep.
I don't understand the price, and the whole JDM pricing scene right now. I'm disappointed by it.
Yeah, it is disappointing. Very disappointing. We had some nominees as well. I'm going to look at the sheet over here. Cal will probably throw images of these cars up, so you can't see me reading the sheet. So our biggest disappointments: BMW X5M.
See, I wasn't disappointed by that because I just know their shit.
I was expecting a feeling of something more special. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it handles for an SUV. I don't know. There's something I was like, oh.
Is that all?
Yeah, there's no depth to it. It's just like, well, what's the point of this? So the X5M, I'm kind of with you, Mazda RX-7. That was a never meet your heroes moment. I love the RX-7, but then going through all the common faults, and not just mechanical issues, but like the plastic is getting pretty dodgy inside, and some body stuff isn't great, and then the price of it.
And not taking away from its unique,
super special
and the
car.
collectability, I get all that, but it's just disappointing that.
Yeah. I kind of look at the RX-7 and just go, God, you need to be like a hardcore fan to really justify owning one of those. And I found that disappointing. I sort of thought being Japanese would be like, oh, well, it's just a great car, super reliable. Also happens to be a classic. It's not reliable. No. It's hard work.
Yeah. See, I knew they're not reliable. So less disappointed, but the pricing is still nuts.
Yeah. Another disappointment, a car I still love, and I'd probably still buy one because I'm an idiot and buy bad cars. Volvo XC90. That was disappointing. I love them so much. I love the design, I love the way it drives, I love everything about the XC90. But when you start going through when we start doing the research, it's like, oh no, this is bad. Yeah. This is bad. I'd still buy one. You shouldn't. I'd still get one.
It's great to have and drive.
This is beautiful.
But not
beautiful car. Beautiful, terrible car. This is another heartbreaker for me because I love these. Skoda Fabia RS. I know. I just love it. It's a fun little car, but again, disappointing because when you start doing the research, you're like, oh, geez, everything goes wrong on this thing. And it isn't aging that well. Visually, it's not aging well.
I'm not disappointed, same as a BMW. I'm not disappointed because I know how terrible those engines are. I just know how they're just terrible.
Yeah, I found that disappointing. My personal biggest disappointment of the year, AMG A45.
Oh.
That was heartbreaking. Like, fast, but just doesn't feel special. The ride quality is pretty horrible in it. The amount of things that go wrong with it, they're not aging at all well.
Yeah, not to mention the stigma of
but they've been ruined by association. Like, they used to be a cool car, but now so many dickheads buy them and drive them like wankers that they've been ruined by association. Yeah, massive disappointment for them. Okay, next up. Okay, next up is most boring. Here's the nominees. Hyundai Santa Fe, reliable, but jeez, my God. There's a struggle to keep awake on that shoot. Kia Sportage, basically same thing. My mate Glenn owns that Kia Sportage. I love Glenn, but your car's boring, mate. I'm sorry. LDV T60. I wish they'd lent into being more rugged. Like, it's made on a very tight budget and it feels cheap. But you can make the cheap feel fun. The Jimny kind of did that. Like, just make it even a bit more shit. Toyota CHR, great to look at, super reliable, very reliable.
At least they tried to make it look less boring.
Yeah, but then you drive it, and that is underpowered. Yeah. It needs another 100 kilowatt.
But by far the standout, I think, speaking of underpowered and boring looking, has to be the Honda CR-V.
Honda CR-V. We are Honda fans because they are beautifully built and very reliable. But that is not a fun car to drive.
What sort of soulless car is that? I mean, you just...
Yeah.
And it's one of those cars that if you took the branding off it and lined it up with a whole bunch of other cars in that category, same with the Sportage, you know, they are just generic.
Yeah,
just terrible.
Yeah, it's the beige of SUVs.
Yeah.
And what's a shame, the guy that owned that is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's the sweetest guy, and I feel terrible saying this because he's probably going to watch this. But it's, very, very boring car.
Just boring.
Very boring. Okay, next up, this is more your category than me, and I've got a sneaking suspicion of what's going to be on this.
Yeah.
Least reliable. Can I guess? I'm going to think Land Rover and Range Rover.
Yes.
Then Jaguar, both XE and XF, because it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess LDV T60 and MG.
Yes, you're correct. I don't have the MG on my list, but I definitely have Land Rover Discovery 5, Range Rover Sport, and the Jags as well. Just not good enough. Just not good enough. You know, you pay the premium price, and in some cases, those cars you can be forgiven because they're kind of cool. You can put up with their shortcomings, reliability speaking, but they are just terrible and unreliable. You know, expensive to fix. Heartbreakers. Heartbreakers.
And like Skoda Fabia is very unreliable as well, but they're a really cheap car.
You only spent $5,000 on it.
They're cheap. Whereas like if you're dropping cash on like a Disco 5. And then find out that there's $20,000 worth of repairs required, that's ridiculous. That just shouldn't happen.
Everyone we see has got just numerous things wrong with it. And you give the customer a list of all these things and they go, yeah, it's been like that for ages. Yeah, we're not worried about that. Yeah, no, we can live with that. And they might, there's too much to go wrong. And people don't fix them and they just,
And like we don't doubt, there are owners out there that have never ever had an issue with their insert Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar product in here.
And some of those owners do choose to fix all these faults as they go, but some don't and they just accumulate.
But I think this is the issue with them. It's so hit and miss. There's no consistency. So you get, half or 30% of the owners that never have a problem, but then half to 70% of owners that have all of the problems. It's just buying used. It's just not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. Buy something else.
And there's so much to choose from.
Exactly. Okay, next up is the We Don't Get It award. Now, what we mean by that is a car that we went into going, okay, we try to approach every car equally, and we came out going, why does anyone buy this? Like, I don't understand. Like, we've lived with it, we've done the research. Why are you buying this? My nominees are BMW X5. I just don't get it. Like, did you not test drive any other premium SUV? I don't.
They drive okay though. If you know nothing about cars and you get them and you're not comparing it to anything good, of course you're going to get it and feel, it feels okay. And it's V8, so it sounds good.
Well, some of them are, not all of them.
Except for the diesel ones, in which case. But then you can understand why people get it, but I don't get it.
Even then, the X5M. X5M's the V8. Then just normal X5 of that generation we shot. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, you've got to be a BMW fanboy or fangirl or fan person just to go, all right, well, I want the X5. I don't really get it.
I don't get it.
But my winner for the I don't get it is Jag XF and Jag XE, both of them. Because you can buy a Lexus instead, which does everything the Jag does as far as the subjective stuff. Beautiful to drive, beautiful to look at, beautiful to sit in, but better build quality, better reliability, hold their value more. I just don't. I don't get it. I'm like, they're lovely cars.
But why? I've got a controversial one for I don't get it. It's the Suzuki Jimny.
No.
I know you love these, but hear me out. I understand the car, but they have such a narrow bandwidth. Yeah, I understand they're a pretty capable four-wheel drives, but there's more capable four-wheel drives for similar money. I understand that they're a good little sporty get around, but there's more sporty, more comfortable cars to get around in and do your groceries and things. And there's also, you can put more people in other cars. So for the things they do, like they're terrible over 80 k's an hour, you can't really fit many groceries in there unless you've got the back seat folded down. You certainly can't put occupants in there safely. I just don't get it. For the cost of them, they don't really do anything outstandingly well.
So what you've gone and done is put logic and common sense into the argument.
Yes.
And I totally agree. They're ridiculous. And now what you're about to witness now is me totally contradicting what I just said about the X5 and the Jag.
But a Jimny, you put big wheels on it, roof racks, and you take it up some moderately difficult four-wheel drive trails. Not careful not to scratch it, of course, because you just spent 50 grand on this pathetic little four-wheel drive. But I sort of understand that, but I would wager that most people that take them four-wheel driving only do it 3 times.
Yeah.
No one is going to drive these until they're wrecked off-road.
I got to admit, I really want a 5-door. I'd love to. If ReDriven keeps growing, I'm going to order a 5-door, and I'll probably never take it off-road. I'm a wanker. No, look, I get it. This is where I get really frustrated at my own brain because I look at an X5 and a Jag and go, why does everyone buy them? It's just the vibe. You're just buying them for the vibe. But then I will happily defend a chimney to the cows come and
go. Two little voices it's always fighting.
The chimney's just about the vibe. I don't care that it's bad at pretty much everything. I think the personality shines through. It's like the friend you've got that's a bit offensive, maybe drinks a bit too much, gets a bit rowdy. You really shouldn't be friends with that person, but you just love them because they're a larrikin, and they, you kind of look back at the tough times going,
until they vomit in the back of your car on the way home from a party.
Yeah, but then even a week later, you're like, no, you rascal.
The other things I don't get are the Abarth 595.
Again, there's another car I love.
You're wrong. I don't get it because there are faster and cheaper and more reliable versions of that car.
Yeah,
GR Yaris.
Well, even Swift Sport.
Yeah.
You are so much better off buying a Suzuki Swift Sport.
I would rather have an RS.
Megane.
No, the Skoda. The Fabia RS Skoda.
Really?
Yeah, than an Abarth.
Even an Abarth. Yeah. Okay, that's a surprise.
Because I don't like the image of the Abarth. I don't like the styling that much.
Really?
I'm probably wrong about that because people are going, oh, they look
it's
amazing.
One design
it's cool.
Awards. Okay. Right.
Yeah, the Stevie Wonder of design award. But I don't get it. And the other one I don't get is the Porsche Panamera. I understand why you would buy a new one if you have a driver to take you from city A to city B and it's 400 kilometres between and you've got autobahns.
Yeah.
But the second-hand ones, like the one we reviewed in Australia, it's a ridiculous car, and I think they're hideous looking. They're unreliable. I don't get it.
No, yeah.
There are plenty of unreliable European sports cars that leak just as much oil.
Yeah.
That I do get, but I don't get that.
Okay, you're probably better off buying a Stinger. A Kia Stinger.
For sure.
A Kia Stinger is basically the same thing with none of the issues, and with a light tune will be just as fast for half the price and won't depreciate.
And I think the depreciation of any Panamera you look at, I think a lot of people would agree. They're worthless.
Yeah. It's funny, all the cars that we've picked are those cars that make no sense, but the vibe and the mystique and the fandom kind of wins out. It's a very heart over head situation.
Passionate people.
Cool. Okay, next category, the cars that we do not recommend. Do not buy these cars. Here's the list of nominees. Any Range Rover or Land Rover product. We did Range Rover Sport and Land Rover Discovery 5.
Yeah, no brainer.
Don't get them. Volvo XC90. This hurts. I love it, but you probably shouldn't buy one. Yeah. BMW X5 again. Yeah.
We have exactly the same cars in our list so far.
Don't get one of those. MGHS and LDV T60. Look, if you're buying it and you're going to sell it within that warranty period, cool-ish. But even then, you're probably still better off buying a second-hand anything else. Yeah. But I would not be owning one out of the warranty period.
Those XC90s, they're terribly unreliable now.
Yeah.
And because they're such a relatively low-volume car, they didn't sell huge amounts of them. And there's fairly good support from Volvo now, but that is all going to stop. You know, in 5 or 10 years' time, the warranty is going to be gone.
Well, also Volvo are moving away, or at the moment, moving away from internal combustion engine cars. So how much support in 5 or 10 years are they going to have for petrol engines when everything's EV for them?
The price you pay for them and the likelihood of it being completely worthless in 5 or 10 years, it's just, would not recommend.
Well, look at the price of a used Volvo 850, like not the R or the T5, like a normal Volvo 850. They're worth nothing, and unfortunately the same is going to be for the XC90. And MG, HS and LDV T60, I think even worse again. I think they're already cheap. They're going to be... Yeah, they're going to be...
Yeah, I mean, rarely, I say this all the time,
cheap.
Rarely does a cheap, I'll say Chinese, but there are a few other categories, from other, continents. Rarely does a cheap Chinese car prove to be a good long-term prospect.
Yeah.
For any, like resale, reliability,
Yep.
and MG is definitely one of those.
Yep. But the car that I would least recommend the most, because I feel like if you're buying an MG or an LDV, you know it's cheap, you know it's a bargain, right?
And you have low expectations.
You have low expectations. But the one I would recommend against the most is the Audi A6. Because I have friends that have gone, oh man, like I can get an A6 for like 15 grand or 25 or 35 grand.
Good reason for that.
Yeah, thinking, oh, it's an Audi, it's going to be like a premium product. And it's like, well, no, like it is a Volkswagen and it's going to have Volkswagen issues. And so many of them, I'm not saying the car's bad, because a well-maintained one can be a great car, but the problem is on the used market, so many people have bought them on a lease and they have no intention of ever keeping them for the long term, so therefore they treat them as such. So on the used market, so many have missed maintenance and have just dodgy owners, and they're just a nightmare.
Yeah, and overall, the ones we see are typically poorly maintained.
Yeah. Even interiors-wise, they don't last. Like it feels premium when you buy it new and everything works, but then after a while, things just start falling apart. I would highly not recommend. Would not recommend an Audi A6.
Yep.
Okay, our worst new car of the year. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I chose the Cherry Armada. Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know. Armada 5?
Armada. It's Armada, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, when I first saw one, I've gone, oh yeah, it looks kind of cool. But then I looked, as I walked towards it, I've gone, oh, wait a minute. It's just, and it's the same thing with the MG. You know, it's a cheap car. It's not going to be reliable. But it's just the styling of it. What's that saying about lipstick on a pig? No, it's polishing a turd. No. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the design of that car. Massively over-designed, over-styled. If they'd just taken a few of the accessories off, and proportions are weird.
It didn't transition from concept car to production car at all well.
Oh no, it's just a terrible car.
Speaking of horrific designs, my worst car of the year, BMW XM.
Oh.
What the hell is going on there?
How many have they sold?
I reckon they've sold heaps because
expensive
BMW X and M together.
Have they sold more cherries?
Oh yeah, 100%. This XM is everything wrong with the car industry. It's just this.
It's everything wrong with the BMW styling department.
Cal, can you throw up a shot of the XM from the side? Okay, everybody, see there's like a line that goes sort of below the bottom of the side windows, that strip of colour or whatever it is. That's like when you're in Photoshop and you're trying to like move a layer up and it just like keeps snapping into position. It's like it was snapping down. They wanted it to match that bottom window line, but it wouldn't go there. And then the designers just went, oh, that'll do. Leave a gap.
Yeah.
It is the ugliest thing, but it's not just the visuals and how horrifically hideous it is to look at. It's what it represents. Super expensive.
Massive.
Stupidly fast.
Yeah.
There's no need for that car to exist. It's just for people that have massive self-esteem issues that need to have the latest giant SUV from BMW. The people that buy an XM, don't buy an XM, spend that money on a good therapist, work out your self-esteem issues, because that's why you're buying it, to feel good about yourself. And buying material objects is never going to fill that gap in your heart and soul. So don't buy it. It's an ugly, horrifically bad car.
Everybody can see through the facade.
Man, if BMW are watching this, you're stuffed up on that car. And I don't care if you don't like me anymore.
Do you reckon BMW are watching this?
I don't know. I hope they do, because they've made a mistake. I hate that car. I know it's a strong word, but I hate that car.
I get it.
And I hate that BMW, sorry to rant, but I hate that BMW did it after making the M2. Like the M2, not the current one, the previous one. Oh, what a brilliant car. Yeah. And then you go and do an XM.
Why though?
Oh, what a piece of shit that thing is.
Easy.
Sorry. I'll calm down. Now, look, before we get to our personal worst car of the year, we know advertising's not fun, but the way YouTube and just business works is, you know, we have bills to pay. We've got to put a roof over our head and food on our tables. And the guys that help us do that are ReDriven and Wiper Tech. They've been our partners for a little while now.
Thank you to them. And thank you for everyone for, not skipping the ads.
Yeah, and honestly, by using their services, that helps us immensely. And we made a deal with when we started ReDriven that any advertising we have on the channel, it has to be good for you guys. It can't be teeth whitening or a VPN or a website builder. It has to be something that brings genuine value to you guys. That's why we partnered with ReDriven and Wiper Tech. Those guys are legends. Please support them. Check out their products. All the links are down there. Also, another partner that we have that we haven't spoken much about, but there's more coming, is Cars for Sale. I'm not going to say much more yet, but 2024, there's some cool stuff happening there.
Watch this space.
Yep. And finally, it's everybody that lent us cars, watch our videos, support us. All the support that we get is amazing, and we couldn't do this without you, without the owners of these cars. Thank you so much. Please keep offering cars. We're always, the more viewers cars that we can feature, the better.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for watching and subscribing and all that sort of stuff. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, finally, our personal worst cars of the year. These are not the worst cars for you guys. This is what we personally found were our worst cars of the year. Jim, who are your nominees and who takes it?
My nominees are the Discovery 5 and the BMW X5,
Yep.
for all the reasons we all know why. But personally, I think the worst car of the year is the little Jeep Cherokee.
Yep.
I just, for reasons being, I think there are more capable four-wheel drives for the price. I think there are better small SUVs for the price. Yep. They're terribly unreliable, and from what I hear, the dealership and ownership experience is just terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, just no.
And like
terrible car.
we get with the Trailhawk that we reviewed, like that has got some off-roading chops, but the problem is maybe several in Australia actually get used for the off-roading they're designed for. Most people buy a Trailhawk and never go off-road, so what's the point of all that stuff? But even then, I've said this before in our videos, I think if you're going to go proper off-roading, well, buy a cheap, shitty off-roader that you can scratch and roll, and it just doesn't matter. Like, get like a super old Triton or an old Hilux as your off-roader, and then buy something nice for around town, like a Jazz or Mazda 3 or something.
Yeah, and I would wager too, with not a huge amount of modifications, you could get a Toyota RAV4 to be almost as good as a Jeep Cherokee off-road.
We should make that video.
The Cherokee's got some diffs and things, but I reckon there wouldn't be much in it.
I think we should make that video.
Yeah, great video.
If there are any full drive sponsors or full drive channels out there that want to help us with a modified RAV4 versus a Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk off-road adventures, let us know, because that'd be a fun vid. Yep. Yeah. Okay, my personal nominations for worst car of the year are, I'm so sorry.
I'm surprised with this one. Yeah.
This hurts. Mazda RX-7, a car I adore and love, but then when you look at the realities of it, not aging well. You've got to do pretty much a full ground-up rebuild to make it a thing, and even then what that costs to do if you're paying someone else. It just doesn't, that was super disappointing, and that's in there, but it's not the worst. Jag XF and XE, as I said before, I don't get it. I don't understand why you'd buy one of these when you can get a Lexus for the same kind of money, even slightly more, but it's just a better car, so that was bad. AMG A45, again, that was... just not good. Sorry, not good. Fast, but not good. But my worst car of the year, BMW X5.
Yep.
Not the X5M, just the BMW X5.
Sure you don't want to just include the M as well.
Oh man, that M. God, that's terrible. No, nothing. I don't understand. It just didn't do anything right. It's not reliable. It's expensive to fix. It depreciates like crazy. It doesn't do SUV that great. It doesn't really go off-road very well. It's okay to drive, but it's not a standout as far as drive. It's not overly practical. It's such a meh premium SUV.
We should just also mention, we are just talking about the ones we've reviewed.
Not
every X5 ever made.
No.
This year's review, that was by far.
Yeah, and look, if you love an X5, that's great. Well done. That's awesome. And please find a way to justify it to me. But after dealing with it, just again, shame, because the guy that owns it, one of the best. It's such a great dude. I feel terrible saying this.
We can't judge the owners.
No, I love him. He's such a good guy. But
not wrong.
But that X5, that's my worst car of the year. So guys, that's it. That's been 2023. They're our worst cars. Please go and watch our best cars for the positive spin on this whole kind of narrative and whatnot. And again, thank you so much for supporting us and watching us. We really, really appreciate it. We're pumped for 2024. Some exciting things on the horizon. Hopefully hit that 200,000 subscriber mark. And
coming in hot.
Yep, and get an AU Falcon to review as a celebration piece. We nearly bought one. We nearly bought an AU a couple of weeks ago and we bloody missed out on it. So hopefully there's
got to get in quick with those. Very high demand.
Yes, there's an AU coming. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great Christmas, great New Year. Cheers. See you next time.
Thanks.